Welcome to the New Life Podcast. On today's episode, I have Carlos and Brodee here. We've been interns here at New Life from Alabama. But before we get started, just like I do with Savannah, we're going to do something even a little bit more different than what me and Savannah do. Is we're going to do two truths and a lie. So, Carlos, take it away.
Alrighty. I'm going to say I've went scuba diving down in Key Largo. I've been in Colorado while there's been snow, and I've met Nick Saban 3 times.
Okay, I already know which ones those are, I think. Because I think he told me one time that he's been scuba diving. I don't know if it's in Key Largo or not.
Yeah, I would assume that would be the truth. There's too many details. I feel like.
Yeah. And then I do know that he has met Nick Saban a few times.
Yeah, but was it 3 times?
I'm not sure.
Because that would be something I would change.
Yeah. And I do know he's been to Colorado, but I don't know if he's ever been there during the winter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think the lie is the Colorado one, but I could be wrong. It could be the Nick Saban one.
I'll go with you and say Colorado, but I'd have a feeling it's like 4 times or 2 times. Nick Saban. But
Is that y'all's final guess?
yeah, we're going to Colorado.
It was the Nick Saban one.
Oh,
How many times?
Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's something I would have done.
Before I was thinking, like, should I change it to 1 or should I change it to 3? Because it's really 2.
Yeah.
And so I was like, 1's, I don't know, like, reasonable enough. So I was just like, 2. We'll go with 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did you go skiing when you're in Colorado?
No. So, and I've actually said this. I was like, I've been to Colorado multiple times because I have grandparents that live there. But the only time I've ever been was when I was like 2 years old in the snow. And so I've never really got to experience it because I, don't remember that. But when I was thinking through, like, what's the truth, technically I have been to Colorado in the snow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's where me and Savannah, our honeymoon was in
Really?
Colorado.
Yeah.
We didn't go when it was snowing.
Yeah.
We went high enough in the mountains that there was snow.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I almost got mugged in a Chinese restaurant one time. Gosh, I forgot the other 2.
Let me tell you, that one's true.
So I almost got mugged in a Chinese restaurant one time.
I have questions after you finish.
I've read 10 books this year, and I went parasailing in Florida at Orange Beach, like the ones that are on the beach,
Well, let me stop you. Orange Beach is not in Florida.
Well, I'm in Orange Beach. You know what I'm saying? That's basically the same area.
So are we saying the Orange Beach one then?
See. Okay,
I told 2 lies, actually.
Listen.
I messed it up. Okay, I've read 9 books this year.
I was going to say, I know you told me the other day you read 9, but technically you just finished one. So.
Oh, that's my 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
So
we know that. Yeah.
So we know what the truth is then, which was you were.
I was almost mugged in the Chinese restaurant one time.
Well, explain that.
Well, you can say almost. I considered it almost mugged. A lot of other people that were there wouldn't consider it. I would.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider it.
But there was this dude. We went to this Chinese restaurant or Japanese. I don't know. I think it's Chinese. What's it called?
Peacock Express.
No, that's not it. It's
Walk and Roll.
Walk and Roll is what it's called. And we were there, and this dude looked really sketch outside, and he was kind of looking through the windows and kind of looking at us. He's put a mask over his face, and then at that point I was freaking out. I was like, I'm done. And then I saw somebody that I knew that pulled up, so I sprint outside and got in the car and was like, we got to go. Yeah. And everybody was like, what are you doing? And I was like,
so really he didn't get mugged.
I didn't almost
looked at,
but there was a dude that was even the person was like, hey, I'm about to go lock the doors because this is sketch, So it wasn't just me that thought this dude was sketch, But yeah, I just finished my 9th book earlier today. And then, or 9th book of the year. And then, yeah, I've never been parasailing.
And see, I wasn't sure, if you didn't say anything, I wasn't sure because we went down to the beach 2 months ago. And we talked about going parasailing, and I couldn't remember if he had said, I've been or I want to do it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but you kind of gave yourself up.
Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah.
So I'm going to do something a little bit different, only because I feel like the more details you give, the easier it is for someone to guess. So I went with the opposite. I'm not going to give you very many details. I think I would say the first one is I have been skiing.
Okay.
The second one is I have broken my big toe. And the third one is I didn't get my license till I was 18.
Dang. Well, you just said something about Colorado, but you said you were in the snow just because of how high you were.
Yeah, so it means
can
you're
you do
probably
year-round skiing in Colorado?
not
Well,
much.
I can say that I didn't go skiing
In Colorado. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not rich enough to go skiing in Colorado.
Okay. And then driver's license till 18,
And then
and then
your
one
big
broken
toe.
toe.
And then I've broken my big toe.
See, the only reason, well, I don't know.
I would, because those are two.
See, this is
different-
much more difficult because you guys
Yeah.
don't know much about
Because
me.
you told
Yeah.
because you told us what you did for work, and I could see that happening.
Yeah.
If you accidentally drop something.
Mhm.
on you.
You don't say that the law is the driver's license. It could. I don't know.
Well,
it could
you
be the
think-
skiing thing.
But see, maybe he's like reverse psychology, and like
I'm
they're gonna think.
I don't think we're gonna get right, so I think we just pick one because we don't know. We don't know.
What do you? So you think we?
I say
you think the truth is?
I think the lie. I think the lie would probably be like the 18. I guess if I had to guess, but I could be wrong. I probably am wrong.
So I'm thinking big toe.
Oh, let's go big toe then. And I don't care because I don't think we're gonna get it really.
And lock in yet?
I said let's lock in on the big toe.
All right, we'll go. Big toe.
I have broken.
Okay.
I have never been skiing ever.
Never been
And
skiing.
a lot of people around here actually have been skiing.
Yeah, I've never been
Really?
skiing either.
And I didn't get my license till I was 18 because my mom was like, until you can get a car and pay
Yeah.
for your insurance. Then
That makes
there's
sense.
no-
Yeah.
So when I was able to do all that, then I got my license.
Yeah.
That's how my
basically.
mom was in video games. I had to buy my own PlayStation.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm not doing that.
No, I broke my toe probably, I think it's been 2 years ago. Here, not
Oh, really?
when I was working.
Yeah.
That's when you think I would have broke it. No, I
Yeah.
was actually setting up one of those bunk beds out there,
Oh,
and then the plywood that sits underneath that the bed sits on. I was rotating it, and it slipped out of my hand and
Oh.
dropped right on my big toe, and I like crawled up the stairs. And,
Wow,
yeah, it was pretty. It was a lot of blood, and it was pretty nasty.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I definitely like the way, because like I said, me and Savannah normally do like a would you rather or like your favorite something or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
or what you don't like or something like
Yeah.
that. But I couldn't do this with her. Like
Yeah.
we
Oh,
couldn't
yeah,
do
you know
two
to
truths.
each other too well. Yeah.
Yeah, we just know too much about one another. So that was fun, and it was able to. Hopefully, we were able to maybe even get a little bit more insight with you guys. But just share who you are, what your names, maybe your family life, and then like you guys are in college right now. Like, what are you studying? Why are you studying it? Just some things like that.
So my name is Brodee Riley. I'm originally from Savannah, Tennessee. My dad is actually a preacher, so I'm a preacher's kid. He doesn't preach like a super big like congregation or anything. He only made like 50 people. But I grew up, kind of with the Lord in the household. But I do go to the University of North Alabama, and I am double majoring in finance and accounting with a minor in religious studies. And I'm just really trying to keep the Lord, let Him have the open door. May go into finance, may try to go into ministry. Not really sure yet. Just kind of let Him guide the rest of my life. But,
Mhm.
yeah.
And my name is Carlos Pullen Marks. I'm actually originally from Guatemala, and I was adopted, and I've lived most of my life in a town called Leeton, Alabama. Also, we call it sometimes LA, but the town is about 1,000 people. It's not very big at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to be a junior this upcoming fall at the University of North Alabama as well. I'm majoring in secondary education with a focus in business and marketing. So hopefully the end goal is, teach finance, accounting classes in high school. And so I just feel like I've been called to that because the first year I thought about doing being a physical therapist.
Mm.
But then after my freshman year, I just felt led and called to being a teacher just because I grew up in the town where, a lot of my friends were kind of underprivileged. And, a lot of the teachers don't really understand that. And even from after I became a believer, I understood that I can really be a light and not more of just a mentor to somebody. Because a lot of kids, they don't know the Lord in high school, and so that's just a critical time before they're kind of put out into a lot of people consider the real world in some ways. And so I think if I can just do that, then you know, teaching those classes would become secondary, obviously. And so that's really the reason I want to go into this. And so that's just also adding on part of my testimony of why I also want to do that.
Yeah. So, Brodee, why the minor in religious studies?
So here, like, especially the past, well, I started out with journalism and digital media major, and then I switched over to finance, and then later I added on, actually I was finance, and then I added on the minor of religious studies, just because I kind of wanted to gain more knowledge about just the Lord in those ways, and I felt like if I was to go to seminary one day, if I do feel that calling, which I have felt, I do want to do something in the church, whether that be just a Sunday school teacher all the way up to being like a pastor. I'd like to do something in the church body. So I figured that would equip me well, being a religious studies minor. And also, like I said, if I was to maybe go to seminary one day, I feel like that would be a good basis of, what I would need to know and go ahead and have some of that insight instead of starting from scratch whenever I go there, if I go there.
So you guys came Sunday afternoon, and then you've been here Monday through Friday. Just kind of tell those that are listening like what you've been doing here, like some of the things you've done, and just maybe how that's how that looks a little different than what maybe you thought when you were initially going to come, because you probably didn't know a lot about us when you were first coming. So just kind of share that.
Yeah, from what we had understood, because really all we had was the description that was listed on One Missions. And I was telling Savannah earlier when she was asking us questions, like the International Mission Board is, who sends people out for missions, but they have another branch that's called One Missions. And that is for college-age students or anybody in college, probably 18 to 25. Yeah. And so we went through that, and Huntington, Indiana, New Life Ministries was listed on there. And so really all we had was that. We called Jimmy. We had like a 10-minute phone call with Jimmy like 2 months ago. And then that was about it. We called him again like last week. But we really didn't know what we was getting into. We was willing to do whatever. But to be like specific, it's just a lot of working in the Life Center, and the potential in that, breaking up baseboards, putting up boards, the sheetrock. And so a lot of that, but then also getting in to sit in on the classes, the programs you guys have with like the co-ed one that they had. One of me and Brody's favorite things we got to do was sit in on their goals meeting. And so that really just gave us the perspective of what they really look like, their life, and from what they were and really what they're striving to be after. And so, for me, it just sat there and was like a reminder of why I reach these people. And also another reminder of like, if these people have the potential, how many more people can I reach? And so that just gave me it gave me some conviction in some ways, but also just like encouragement of like, continue out the Great Commission. And so that's kind of what I've gotten from it.
Yeah. One thing that I have learned how to put up drywall, so that was good.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say, drywall.
But one thing that I really took away is also from that goals class is just kind of seeing that these people are still, like, a lot of times we think of people that have kind of gotten into some trouble in their life. We think of them kind of like, oh, why did they do that, But I kind of quickly realized that these are just normal people that just kind of made some bad decisions, and they may have not had the greatest upbringing, and I felt really blessed that we were able to have an upbringing that was in the Lord, Not everybody has that, but now seeing them trying to kind of continue past the things that they've done is just really encouraging to me. I know it's really encouraging to Carlos as well, because they still have so much more to live for. They still have a lifetime ahead of them. So I just really thought that was really encouraging. Another thing that we did that probably one of my favorite things this week was probably the Bible study that we led with them last night. Seeing how the Lord's been working in their life, just seeing how they still have faith. Not all of them are believers, but a good amount of them are, and just kind of seeing their hope for their life that the Lord's put in their lives. So I just thought that was really cool to see how they're still seeing the Lord work through all of this, even though they're not in the greatest circumstances. And I just thought that was really, really encouraging.
Yeah, so you got informed that you're gonna do this Bible study, like
it was about
maybe 2 hours.
It was about 5:30.
Yeah,
and
so
we were
2
doing it
hours.
at 7:30. Yeah.
So tell me what that was like. I feel like you were not prepared to do a Bible study or talk to these guys.
Yeah. Well, for some reason, this just has to be the Lord, because during before Wednesday night, I was just flipping through my Bible and I flipped to Romans 5, and I was just reading and I was like, damn, there's some gas stuff in Romans 5, and then you're just talking about how what was it talking about? It's talking about how since Adam had sinned, just one man had made the world wrong.
Yeah.
One man could come and make the world right.
Yeah.
And it also talks about just through the pain, through the suffering, creates stronger men.
Yeah.
And also had some other points.
Well, I mean, up to that point, since Romans 1-4, we're kind of talking about sin and how we've fallen short of the glory of God. Then 5 starts off with like therefore, and so that's the turning point of because like it's like headed in most of them like you're now at peace with God. It's something along those lines. And then the second half of chapter 5 was like grace now reigns over everything, and so that's kind of part of what we like tried to push towards them. Was like no matter what you've done, you don't have to come clean before you come right with the Lord. And we was also really pushing like don't wait. It's never too late to come and like fully surrender to the Lord, but you just never know when your time is run out.
Yeah. And like I was saying that, so I was reading, I was like, yeah, that's got some really good stuff in it. And then for some reason, I was just reading in Romans 5 whenever Jeremy came down and asked me to do the Bible study, and I had already kind of just read to myself Romans 5 and just kind of made some notes on it. So whenever he came down, I was like, this is kind of a good place to start.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and just did that. I think it went really well.
Yeah, I was just sitting over here reading a book, and Brodee was in there, and I heard Jeremy walk in, and I figured they were just talking. I didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And then Brodee walks in and was like, hey, he just asked us to do a Bible study. And I was like, and I won't lie, both of us were like, we weren't fully sure because, we didn't want to do, something if we weren't prepared. But I was just like, let's just do it. Why not? And so we got ready. We hurried up and went to Wise Guys and ate. Got half off pizza.
Yeah, because their kitchen was down.
Oh, really?
So all they had was pizza. And then we came back, and I'm not joking. Like I've read through Romans. Brodee just read through it, and like we didn't do much preparation. And so, because a lot of it, we were just hoping that the Lord was going to speak through us and use us however it may be in the moment. And so we just like prayed before we walked out of here over us two. And then we prayed before the Bible study, prayed after, and just relied on the Lord. And it's nothing to do with us, but I really think the Lord just really spoke through us. And we didn't necessarily stutter as much, even though that would have been fine. But like we just tried to do the best we could.
Yeah, I know. Something I tell. So we get lots of mission teams here from all over the country, or at least all over the side of the Mississippi. Yeah. We've gotten close. A couple teams have almost came from the other side. We just haven't quite got over there before. But what I tell a lot of these mission teams that come, like those things may seem small, like a Bible study or going down to the meal ministry and serving a night, but these are impactful things for the kingdom of God. Just something is like one of those guys can remember that night that they had with these two guys named Carlos and Brodee about they talked about Romans 5 and how I shouldn't wait, and now I do want to give my life to Christ, and like all these things the Lord uses. It may not be today, but it can be years down the road. So that's something I always encourage all our mission teams that come, that what you're doing here not only helps us, and we love for people to come and give us a hand to help the ministries, all those things, but you're also making an impact on people's lives that are here. But so tell me, maybe just, I know you've shared some things that have definitely opened up your eyes, but maybe share some things that maybe this experience, maybe down at the meal ministry or at the house last night, has maybe just opened your eyes up about ministry in general?
I've kind of seen it as a lot of times we think of ministry as just like preparing a sermon or preparing this, preparing that. There's a lot more that goes into it, is what I've learned this week. Ministry is not only just that, but there's helping the people around you as well. And kind of seeing what all goes into the meal ministry and all the preparation and stuff it takes to having those houses. It just kind of opened my eyes to just that side of ministry, that side of helping others, and how not easy it is, but also how rewarding it is as well. Because those two things were probably the most rewarding things about this week. Were helping feed people that need food and helping spiritually feed people that need spiritual food.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think something else I've seen is just how God provides in ministry. And so obviously there's a lot of behind the scenes. Like I didn't expect to get here and see a full like staff upstairs that works like constantly like they do and put the effort that they in. Because obviously I know there's behind the scenes, but I've never really got to see it from that perspective.
Yeah.
And so, that just makes me appreciate it a lot more, obviously. And something that, I'm going to always leave the door open to ministry as well. Whatever that may be and whatever God calls me to. And so I just would like to be obedient in that because, there were plenty of times when we first met on like Monday or maybe it was Sunday, but you gave us that tour around everywhere. But then you mentioned so many times that, this happened. We got this house for this much. Like it really wasn't that bad. And so I also just see that in some ways, when we're working in the Life Center, breaking up baseboards or like inhaling all the dust, it's like in some ways, some people wouldn't find that fulfilling, obviously. And that's not like it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but like, it's for a greater purpose. And so that's what it's worth. And even if it takes, how X amount of years, it'll be worth if it just changes somebody's life. And so that's really showed me this week as well as, my heart, I still have a burden for everybody and like, for them to know the Lord because, why wouldn't you want to share that with somebody when it's changed your life drastically? And so I've just seen the amount of factors that go into ministry and that's really made me appreciate it a lot more. And I can see why everybody's like effort is still there because the Lord always is the provider, and so it's easy to do when you have a God like that.
Yeah. So I think it has helped us to like because the size we are is not very big, and I think a lot of teams have come. And what is one thing I want them to get out of it is that you don't have to be a large church to start doing what God's called you to do.
Yeah.
Like. I think when Jimmy got the calling in like 2005-ish time frame to start these ministries, there was hardly anybody in the church at that point. And I think they had started the meal ministry within a couple of years after that. They didn't wait to have the money to do it and we're called to plan and be good stewards of what the Lord gives us at the time and things like that. But if the Lord's telling you to jump, you jump, right? If he wants you to go here, now you go there now. And that's one thing I hope you two get out of the time that you've been here. Hopefully you get a lot of stuff, not just one thing, but that just because I'm in college or whatever that looks like later on in the future, you all can start doing what God's called you to today. And I'm sure you guys know that, obviously. But so let's switch gears for just a moment. So tell me, we've had an intern from Purdue University. We've had one from Southeast IU campus, and they've shared just kind of what's it like to be a believer on those campuses. So maybe share what it's like to be a believer in Alabama's campuses.
Yeah, we have a thing called the BCM, which has helped a lot of people. We have a lot of different organizations that we're a part of, which we'll get into here in a minute. But we have a thing called the BCM, which is the Baptist Campus Ministry, which just kind of keeps everybody. We have like a service every Monday night, and they're the ones that kind of push people to go on missions. They're the ones that are telling people that there are unreached people in the world. Let's go and reach them. You know what I'm saying? And also, we have a great campus minister named Matt Daniels that is always there to help you whenever you need it. But also another thing that we're a part of, I don't even know if we've told you, but we do have a Christian fraternity on campus. So it is a fraternity. We do like formals, date parties, things like that, but we're completely dry. We try to be a light for all the other Greek life, because as people know, Greek life can be a haven of sin and a lot of different things that isn't, So we're part of Lambda Sigma Phi, which is our motto is love the brotherhood, serve others, and praise the King. So that's just another thing that we're a part of. And that's also a big part of my testimony. Kind of finally seeing people that have the same values as you do, Christ-like values as you do. So those two things have really been a huge blessing on my life.
Yeah. And both of you are part of that?
We are, yeah. I didn't intentionally wear this shirt today to try and promote, but I just threw it on. But yeah, it's Lambda Sigma Phi. It's the only, there's multiple Christian fraternities technically, but that's the only chapter, the only Lambda Sig anywhere. And so it's really more of just a big group of guys who are all believers and who are striving to reach others on campus. And that's also what the Baptist Campus Ministry does. They have outreach events. And so they try to reach campus. And so thankfully, since we're in the Bible Belt, a lot of people are believers, but there are also some people that give some pushback as well, because we actually have a lot of international students. And so, reaching those type of people can be hard sometimes. But all in all, through the BCM, we got to be in a D group together with a bunch of our guy friends, and that's really grown us in a lot of ways. We take part in a few things on campus that allow us to, hopefully be a light for somebody else. We're both, we call it the LaGrange Society, or the university does, and it's the ambassadors for the university, and so we give campus tours. I did the orientation. I was a counselor for that, for anybody coming into UNA. I was a counselor for that. I was on leadership this past year for the BCM. I'm on their lead team. And so, we do various things. We both have positions in the fraternity, and all that. We have positions and chairs, so we can build others in Christ, not only ourselves, but others. And so, college has really been a blessing for me. It's UNA is amazing. I would tell anybody to go to UNA over probably anywhere else, honestly. No, you got it.
But also another thing called River Retreat too. It's basically just a couple day camp kind of thing, and it's intended for incoming freshmen and transfer, just to kind of get involved with the local churches, local ministries, like BCM and like I said, all the local churches. But I was actually going into my freshman year, and I went to River Retreat, and that's what kind of kickstarted my faith again, because I put my faith in the Lord in high school, but I kind of wearied off because I wasn't really surrounded with the type of people I need to be surrounded with. But once I kind of finally found that Christ-centered community with all the different things that we're now a part of, that's whenever I finally decided finally found that Christ is the only way. That's the only reason we're here. It's the only reason we should be living for it. But like I said, River Retreat. We're also Monday. We're having I don't think he's gonna be there, but we're having our training for River Retreat. So right after this trip, we're going right to it.
Yeah, it starts on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then it goes to Friday.
Yeah. We're both counselors this year. So I started as a what would you call it? A student, and then now we're both counselors.
Yeah, this year is about to be the third year only of doing it.
Oh, okay.
And so
it's pretty new.
Yeah, it's fairly new. When I was coming in as a freshman in the fall of 23, they had just decided to do it that first year, and they had the help and funding. Auburn University, their campus is where it started, and they call it Oaks Retreat, and now it's kind of spread to where all the campuses have events or retreats like that. And so UNA has just been added to the list, and now we're on our third year. So, and there's about 50 or so students that are showing up for this one. So,
yeah, and it's also a really good place too, because what they do is not only just getting you plugged in with local churches, but getting you plugged in with that community of believers. Because so last year I was one of a student, and I had my counselor that I was discipled by for the last couple of days. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunities to kind of be the discipler, and be the one that helps those students kind of find their footing at UNA.
Yeah, that's really cool. So tell me just maybe to get to know you guys just a little bit more. Kind of maybe just share maybe something that you're passionate about. You know, it can be anything, and just get to know you guys just a little bit more, and maybe something a little bit more deeper.
Okay, I guess to say in a broad way, discipleship, as far as through ministry, because thankfully the Lord has provided me with an amazing family. To give a little bit more insight, the church I attend is somewhat smaller too. I mean, there's anywhere from 40 to 50 people that show up on a Sunday, and we sometime last year our preacher left, so my dad actually stepped in, and he's been doing that until they find somebody else. And so and my mom's very much of a believer, and I have a brother too. And so growing up in that household and then around those people who go to that church, when I was younger, I didn't really think much about it. But, I've really seen the opposite side of it and how much they've really poured into me. And so, that's why I want to do high school teaching, because, those students are going to have an understanding of, what the world has to offer. And so that's really just feel like what I've been called to. And I take part in a lot of things at UNA because I really want to pour the Lord into others. So that's why I was the orientation counselor. That's why this is my second year being counselor at River Retreat, and just various other things where I've got to do one-on-one time, and the D group I did, and so things like that. That's really what I'm passionate about. Is in some ways at first when I changed my major to secondary education, it was a struggle because I was too caught up in a little bit of the world thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to make this much, or, I don't speak the best in public speaking, one-on-one sometimes. In some ways I don't see, this is just it was just the enemy trying to rattle me up. I don't see myself as the smartest, but, I've really seen, just the Lord work through me. And so, I just want to be a testimony of that. And so I really have a passion for people. And, I hope everybody knows the Lord. And so I would say that's what I'm passionate about, is teaching, discipling, doing whatever I can to put somebody else before myself. And, I still struggle with that all the time. I am prideful. I can be, I can sometimes not boast in the Lord all the time. And, I wish I didn't do that, but, I still do. And so, if I can just, teach others to plant seeds in one another, I would hopefully, my goal is, make disciples so those disciples can make more. And so I think that's really what I'm passionate about is, one-on-one time with and connecting with others.
That's really cool.
Something that I've kind of found a passion for in the last probably 3 or 4 months is probably just studying the Word. My dad, like I said, he's a preacher at a church, and I never really understood why he had so many books and spent all of his time just in the Word. I was always this is kind of weird. Why is he doing this? But now I kind of understand. It's just such a joy to just learn more about our Lord. And like I said, reading just as many books as I get my hands on, just reading the Word as much as I can, just having a question and getting the answer through the Word is just such a fulfilling thing to see. But also just growing closer to the one that created you as well is just an amazing thing in my opinion. And the only way you can do that is really through His Word, and prayer and things like that. So that's really kind of what I found a passion for. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of want to go into ministry, just so I can have an excuse to, read His Word all the time, but also help others do the same as well. So that's kind of what I've found a passion for.
Okay. Those are great. There's so many. I think with talking with some of the other interns, there's so many distractions and things like that, while you're at college. And to be honest, even watching my wife, go through all the classes and stuff like that, you don't have much time. You have to be very good stewards of your time and balancing them and, just being organized and things like that. And to have the perspective of I'm going to put the Lord first. I think, at least in my own mind, I would think that it would make those other things at least feel more joyful, even the classes and the things, because you have a purpose behind it, right? You're not just going to do this major or minor or whatever for just money or just even a career or anything. Like there's a much deeper purpose and meaning behind it, right? You want to do it for the kingdom of God. Like you want to go work in finance and business, which seems like things that, how would you do that for the Lord? But with your guys' perspective, you can do anything for the Lord, right? So I'm going to switch gears again. Like I said, you guys have shared quite a bit with me as we've worked and stuff. So you are the first people I've ever had on here that also have their own podcast.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna give you an opportunity just to explain your podcast. I know it's not like what we do here, which is like full-fledged Bible study stuff like that, but it's still faith-based. You still share testimonies and things. That you've only done 3 episodes, correct?
We've only finished.
So you just got started. So maybe just share with those that are listening what it's about. What is it called first? What it's about.
So what it's called is the Brodee and Carlos podcast. It's a very original name. But a lot of times we just talk. We thought one day, this may be kind of arrogant, but we thought one day like, man, we talk about a lot of funny stuff together.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sure the world will hear this. But that's kind of a joke. But so we just decided we were just going to make a podcast. It is faith based. But I think the first couple of episodes were just us talking.
Yeah.
The first 2 definitely were.
Yeah. But we decided to kind of start gearing more towards like just faith. You know what I'm saying? So the 3rd episode, we talked to one of our best friends. His name is Jackson Moore. But we talked to him and we just kind of asked him some questions. We just had basically another discussion.
It was really ones that would like roll conversations over and just kind of open discussion. There were none really directed towards him. Like he would answer, but then we would give what we thought on that as well, and we just bounced off one another. And so it'll be a good mix of both faith and just I hope more people listen to those than just the ones of us like yapping about nothing. We've only had 3 episodes. The first one we just got on there is me and Brodee. And like when you think of like put together like just in 1 hour, probably like 10 minutes, honestly. Like it's the most put together thing ever because when we were making the thing, I'd made it on my phone, and so I have the Spotify account creator whatnot on my phone, and so in the description I just put we didn't know what to call it or we didn't know what to put in the description, so I just put just an average podcast or your average podcast or something like that, and now I can't change it, and so that kind of sucks. But so the first one was just us talking, and the second one we told people not even to listen to because we we made an Instagram too, and like we was like, yeah, don't listen to episode 2. Or, like if you do skip minutes 10 to 30.
Yeah.
And so they're about anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes long. But it's just something we decided to do just because hopefully, in some ways we want people to see like how our faith looks, not really, I don't know about looks, but like what perspective we see it as like, and so, everybody that listens is probably going to listen from like UNA, like North Alabama. Yeah. But I mean,
well, the people that are listening here have an opportunity.
They have the opportunity. Everybody always has the opportunity.
So they can go listen to your podcast on Spotify.
Yeah, we're only on Spotify now.
Spotify's free though.
Yeah, it is free, and we just haven't taken the time to expand that. Apple.
So you've only done 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I was telling you guys when we first started doing a podcast, we only did audio and we only put it on Spotify. So you're on the same track. But the reason why I share that is because the people that watch this have an opportunity to get on the ground level.
Yeah.
Right. And you end up, making a name for the podcast. Then these people can say, well, we were there in the beginning when they just talked about whatever.
They could be some of the first fans.
Yeah.
But what I do like, I like that you share that it's faith based, even if there are topics you guys are going to talk about that aren't like you're not always going to be talking about this Bible verse or things like that. Is because you can find, you can how do I want to say this? You can see your faith in all areas of your life, right? That's what you should be able to. You should be able to say, I see my faith in where I go to eat and things like that. And something is maybe as even if it's supposed to be funny that you're talking about something, joking around, which is what I assume that you want the podcast to be.
Yeah.
You can still find joy in your faith even in those moments as well.
And in some ways, I haven't. Kind of haven't thought about it that way as well because but now when I think about it, it's like our first episode we talked about movies for like 5 or 10 minutes, and so in some ways maybe we didn't talk on this specifically, but we can share that we're not going to watch something that will probably tempt us in potential sin, obviously, and even though that's not we're not in the category of faith at that moment in time. But hopefully, they can understand that as from a college age perspective, or just anything in general. Don't put yourself in the position. That's just an example of to fall short, and setting yourself up. And so I know that's a pretty specific one, but stuff like that, I guess it's definitely something we look for.
Yeah. So again, check out. Say the name again.
The Brodee and Carlos podcast.
Just Brodee and Carlos podcast.
Brodee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might throw some people off, so we probably should have done Carlos first. But, yeah, if anything, I would go check out the Instagram first because in there we have our link to Spotify, and then we also have our Google Doc. So, if you're listening to this from Indiana, we probably won't have you on in person, because we don't have the funds to fly you down. But we only started 3-4 weeks ago. So.
You guys plan on posting every week?
Yeah.
That's the goal. I think we'll definitely get in 2, if not at least 3 a month for sure. But once the school semester starts, it gets pretty hectic.
Yeah.
But I would definitely
see where the Lord takes it.
Exactly. Yeah. You never know. We could be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah. Look out, Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So we talked about all sorts of stuff. A lot with ministry. Kind of your guys' perspective when it comes to your college life and things like that, which has been awesome. What I always do on here on the podcast, which I didn't mention to you guys when we were looking over notes and things like that, is I always give the guests a final thought. So that's anywhere from a sentence to a paragraph, however long you want it to be, is maybe share with the listeners kind of what you would want them to leave with out of what we've talked about, whether that's something to do with discipleship or ministry or being a college kid or whatever you want it to be.
If I had to think of something on the spot, I would probably say, just go and proclaim the Lord, whether that be to your neighbor or in some far off country, because that's what He's called us to do. And I feel like that's the most fulfilling thing that we can do as believers is sharing our faith so that others can believe as well. So I'll just leave it to that.
Mine's kind of similar, but I would also say, just from my experience from this week, I've really taken a lot. And I've done a few other mission trips, but this week has also brought me another reminder of, if those people can still have, something in them that says, I long for the Lord, what opportunities, just speaking to the public and myself, obviously I'm preaching to myself, how much more can we do? How many more people can we reach with the opportunities that we're given? And I also say to that, if you don't understand that and don't have that relationship, then I would fully understand that. So then you can, share that with others. And so that's really what I've taken as just a reminder of contentment of I have this, so I should do this with that. And so it's been a really awesome time. That's really what I would share is just continue the Great Commission, no matter where you're at, whether it's in a classroom, in a cubicle, in a finance office. I don't know, just anywhere. You can do it anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So that concludes our episode for this week. Thank you, Carlos and Brodee, for working here and sharing your talents and your gifts. Hopefully the business and finance, all that goes smooth with your classes this coming year and all the other. Sounds like you guys are doing a lot. So hopefully, that all goes in the direction you guys want it to go. So.
And thank you just for guiding us this week. I've really, you might not believe me when I say this just because I'm on here and just trying to say it, but I really do mean you've kind of showed us the steadfastness to have for ministry, and so the consistency that I can tell that you, along with everybody else on the team, has really shown me to strive more for it and just see what the Lord has to offer.
That's awesome. So make sure you like and subscribe. Comment down below. Share it, 2 truths and a lie, and I'll try to
That's
guess it. So share again this episode with somebody, and as always, thank you for listening to the New Life podcast.